reviews are positive. Games are good. Xbox Showcase? Forza leads are leaving Playground for a new studio. Extra, extra, hear all about it.
Instead of talking about your decisions, I'm going to be talking about that I'm astounded. For the second straight year, this episode is set to come out on my wedding anniversary. I'm the Dean of Games, the Dean Slater on all platforms, and joining me is twitch.tv/LMJ the Hitman Landen.
How do you do? I do. How do you do?
I do.
Oh, we do. Okay.
And from Twitch's graveyard, we have Gavin.
How do you do?
You said do.
I did.
Yeah, and for those of you who are going to point it out, yes, last year the 15th was on a Saturday, and this year the 15th is on a Sunday. But we initially were going to have it come out on Saturdays, and then I learned editing podcasts, while easier than just regular videos, still a bit of a chore.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we've moved it to Sunday to give me an extra day. But this is Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Sunday, January 15th, 2022. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefingroom. Let's get to some news. Speaking of my anniversary and January 15th, The Last of Us reviews are positive.
Yes!
It's got a 96 ripe on Rotten Tomatoes, an 84 Metacritic. Empire, I'm just pulling clips, just short blurbs from each thing. Empire says it's a superb example of how to make an adaptation work. Variety says a promising, moving zombie saga. Entertainment Weekly says it can't decide if it's an adaptation or a replay. That was a knock it had on it. And TV Guide said the show could have expanded its perspective beyond the source material even more. So too good, too bad. As far as what I've pulled, obviously there's a lot more than just 4 reviews. But how you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm fucking excited. It's this Sunday. I'm probably gonna not watch it the night. I have HBO, but it's like HBO Live on Sunday, so I'll probably end up watching it on Monday. So I should be able to have my opinions by the podcast by the time we record the podcast.
Yeah, I am glad to see it's doing so well.
Yes,
that is one thing I was worried about was if it was just exclusively a replay, like that's no fun. Like you already know the story, and video games and TV shows aren't terribly different as far as how the medium works. So I was a little worried about that. It's kind of like I personally think some of the best stuff from the live action remake of Aladdin was the stuff that was completely new.
Mm-hmm.
That, when they weren't treading on the source material. So I wish, obviously these reviews, some of them are saying it's great, some of them are saying it needs more expansion, and you don't even have to change the story past the source material. There are so many stories in Last of Us that you could just expand out and flesh the characters out more.
For sure.
So I'm intrigued to see what works, what didn't work. But yeah, I'm glad that it's doing well. We need better better video game adaptations.
Yeah, but I am happy for it. Seems like regardless of what people think at this point, it's going to be at least somewhat of a success. I don't know about a huge success yet, but it's going to be at least somewhat of a success.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we at
and
least
you-
get season 1. I just found out recently that
Yeah.
season 1 is actually the full first
Whole
game.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's like 8 episodes too, right?
It's
Something
nine.
like that.
It's 9 episodes, and when I
Yeah.
heard that, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of scary." But then I saw the first episode is an hour and a half. So if they keep that pace, I think they're gonna be fine.
Yeah. That's a little long for a first episode, but I agree that's
Yeah, I also agree that it's a long episode.
like I understand, doing like a shows used to do 2-part or 3-part like series openers. Like I think Avatar: The Last Airbender was like 3-part opening episode where like the first 3 parts are just back to back to back. And then they just released them all 3 of the first episodes at once, and then they're like, but no, it's 3 separate episodes. I'm hoping it's something like that because yeah, that's way long. Gavin, what do you think about The Last of Us show?
Are you watching it?
I don't know.
You got HBO, man. Like you gotta watch that shit, dude. If you got HBO.
I don't have HBO, and like, it's not piquing my interest.
Well, if it ends up being amazing, maybe by that time, you'll already have a whole season to watch instead of having to wait week by week. Because I can't stand waiting week by week, but I will stand to wait for this show, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If I actually had my HBO subscription, I'd give it to you, but no, I have someone else's HBO subscription.
Same. I'm the mooch with most of my subscriptions.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a graphic, and people used to complain about how expensive cable was, but the graph was showing each subscription cost, Disney, HBO, all the major ones. It's not even including stuff like Crunchyroll, like just the major subscriptions, and then cable, and cable is $10 less than all the major subscriptions together. And it's even, like I said, some that I would have. Like I have Crunchyroll. It's pretty bad. The whole reason people moved to streaming, it was cheaper. And then
Yep.
now it's not.
That whole weekly by weekly thing, like I can understand. Like I understand completely how shitty it is having to wait week by week because I'm currently having to do that with Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. I hate the way. Can I just say, this isn't applicable to the story or to like HBO. I hate the way Netflix does most of their shows, because most of their shows they release episode batches. So like with Cuphead season 1, they released the first half of season 1, and then like 3 months later released the second half of season 1. And because the second half of season 1 was released so far away, that's why Cuphead isn't getting a season 2. But it's like they only pay attention to the first week of when these episode batches come out. Anything after that first week doesn't matter to them. And it's just like, you're not appeasing either group. There's the group that likes having the week-to-week suspension, and the group that likes having the, binging it. By doing it in episode batches, you're not appeasing either of them. And you're causing your own shows to fail. You're setting up your own shows to fail doing that. I don't know, man. It's annoying.
It really is.
Let's go from an antiquated medium in TV shows to the medium of the future. Games are outselling video and music. This comes from numbers reported by the UK, because the UK has different laws than America, and So they're a little bit more upfront with sales and so forth. If you notice, most of the time when we're talking about video game sales, it'll be the UK because the numbers are just upfront. So video games sold 42.1% of all media sales. So, that's up from 2.3%, up 2.3% from last year. From the beginning of the pandemic, game sales have risen 24%, and this is the 11th consecutive year that games have outsold video and music. Something I think what was interesting from the story is I didn't have it in my notes, but I think it's interesting, is for all media, physical media still had like 30% sales or something like that. But you look at physical game sales, and it's only 10% of game sales. So people still getting the physical videos and physical music, but not physical games.
Sad. Me, I'm here. I do.
But anyway, what do you think about video games outselling video and music?
I mean, it's the biggest industry in the world right now, man, and it's thriving. There's more and more people. It gets more and more people interested. I don't know. It's not necessarily too surprising, but so sad to hear about those physical numbers. Physical's just disappearing. The very millennial thing of me, I'm sure, but I like my physical.
Yeah, I saw
like my
someone.
physicals.
I saw someone post about this when the story came out, where they're like, everyone got so mad at Xbox when they were moving far away from physical for the Xbox One. And that was 2013. 10 years later, people have moved away from physical just by themselves.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few games that I buy digital just because of the convenience.
Mm-hmm.
No, every Call of Duty is digital.
Yeah, see, like for me, I try to buy physical simply because you can actually, surprisingly enough, distribution and stuff, you'd think that it'd be more expensive, but actually a lot of places are selling physical games cheaper than the digital codes or whatever. I don't quite understand the reasoning behind that, but I'll buy physical just because it's cheaper. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
you can
Well,
get
it's
the
supposed to
game.
be cheaper. It's supposed to be cheaper for digital anyways.
Right,
They're getting
yeah.
straight profits when it's digital. Straight
Right.
profits. There's no middleman at all. They sell most of their games at a $40, $50 value, and then the stores usually grab about anywhere between a $10 to $20 profit, depending on it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it goes digital and it's still the exact same price as a steel. I understand games are supposed to go up in price, but don't complain that games are supposed to go up in price if we're going to go in a digital only future when most of your profits are just straight cash, no used games at all. Yeah, it's just all profit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
But
yeah, like I said, millennial me, my bad.
you're good. You're good. I will say it is nice though. Like if you're really wanting a game at launch, you can already have it pre-downloaded. You know, you can buy it and have it pre-downloaded, and then at launch, like the moment the clock strikes midnight or whatever, you can just start playing it.
Yeah, that is pretty dope. Or come home from work and it's just waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, if back in the day you'd have to stand in line, and by the time you got home it was like 3 hours later and people had already been playing.
Yep.
Getting good. So Gavin, what do you think of some of these numbers?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know. So a little extra thing I'd like to add in there. The video and music, is this physical as well? Like music probably, like how does the music industry make money based off of streaming? Like how, is that what counting? Is it count that as well?
I'm not sure.
Because physical music media as far as music and physical is got to be trash and abysmal. Like, I mean, even DVD and
Well,
video.
yeah, I think a lot of it probably is the fact that people still like getting vinyls of things.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I collect
think,
all my Marvel movies. At least I try.
yeah. So I think as far as music, a lot of the physical sales are probably vinyls because people just like the sound of music on a vinyl compared to as some music lovers that I know would say the the sanitary, version, the super clean, not dirty version of, songs as far as the sound. I'm not into music enough to be able to talk about the pros and cons of songs on vinyl as opposed to not on vinyl, but
For sure.
yeah, as far as movies, I think movies are in a similar boat with, like you said, with streaming. Uh, but yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you go into a Walmart. While it's declined, they still have a decent sized Blu-ray section. So,
Yeah, that's true.
so it must be doing well enough for them to have something that, like in an aisle or two. So,
I mean, plus, if you think about it, if you go to places like Walmart, they just have like one side with physical copies of games of an aisle. They're locked behind a case, and then they have like displays or aisles or big ass bins full of physical copies of movies.
For sure.
yeah. So, since the games are selling so much, clearly a lot of people are going to tune into the next story. Microsoft and Bethesda will deliver a games showcase later this month. This comes from Windows Central, and it was since I made this doc. I made this doc on Tuesday. Since I made this doc, Microsoft and Bethesda have confirmed this is in fact happening. This is no longer a rumor, but the rumor came from Windows Central and was since confirmed. It is going to be called the Xbox Developer _ Direct. It is January 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern. I put Eastern because that's the time zone we're in. If you're in another time zone, you can go fuck yourself or find the math yourself. It's going to deep dive into Redfall, Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsports. Starfield will not be present due to a dedicated event later. And if you remember after the Game Awards controversy, Aaron Greenberg said, 2023 is incredibly exciting for Xbox, and fans won't have to wait long for news. Just, a month and a week, basically. So what do you guys glean from this?
I'm excited about it. I think Xbox has a lot of talking to do, but I don't think this is going to be the event that I want to hear from them. I think this is going to be the event that's going to be like, hey, those things that we said that are going to come out, they are coming out, and here's a little bit more about them. I think that's going to be the most part, other than Starfield having its own event. I think the real deal will be like their E3 presence is like what we'll really want to see, like the last half of this year. Like I think most of this conference will be the first 5-6 months of this year, with potentially Starfield being at the end of this year. But I don't know. Maybe it'll continue to try to go for the early release still.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's something else they mentioned, but I didn't put it in because we don't know what it is. They mentioned other ZeniMax projects. So if they just mentioned, ZeniMax in general, but not specific games, there might be some new stuff in there, question mark. I don't know why they would just say ZeniMax, projects without the project names if we know about them.
That's
So
true.
that has me curious. Also, I'm not interested in Redfall or Forza Motorsports. I'd like to see a deeper dive into Minecraft Legends, though.
Yes,
So
I second that.
that's something I'll be watching for sure. But I may end up just watching the dedicated video to Minecraft Legends. Got anything, Gavin? Nope. All right.
I hope they have a couple surprises in there for us, and just I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe like even if it's like a tease, like we'll tell you more at E3. Like just saying that, like you thought this was something, then check out E3 this year. Just say something like that. I'd like that from Xbox.
Yeah.
There's so many titles that have been in the works for so long. I feel like this could be their year.
Oh yeah. I mean, if that all those games that they had on their not E3 last year come out like they were saying they're gonna come out. Oh boy, it's gonna be pretty stacked year. Just in the first half alone.
For
Let
sure.
alone what they have planned for the second half, which we don't really know, surprisingly.
I don't really know much from everybody. Like even I
Yeah.
mean, Zelda's the first half.
Yeah,
So
Zelda's the first half. We don't do. Is there a PlayStation game coming out in the first half outside of their VR stuff?
technically
Obviously.
Forspoken is the first half.
Yeah.
And then they have Final Fantasy 16 as well. That's just PlayStation, and then Spider-Man at the end. So they have 3 games right now, technically.
Yeah. But yeah, that Spider-Man's at the end, so we're talking. We don't know what Xbox has at the end of the year, and we don't really know what Nintendo has at the end of the year. I mean, we can make guesses about Xbox because they used to announce games like years in advance. We're still waiting for Hellblade 2. And we're still waiting on Fable and what's the gun game? The FPS. Perfect Dark. We're still
Oh
waiting
yeah,
on
yeah,
Perfect
yeah,
Dark.
yeah, yeah.
So we know a couple things, but I doubt any of them are coming out in the second half of this year. So we'll see how that works. But first half is pretty stacked in Xbox's favor.
Possibly, I mean they got quite a few studios in the works. Like having Bethesda, they could probably have steady releases here
Oh yeah.
soon, like every 2-3 months here soon.
One of these days, the dominoes will fall.
Yeah, well, they keep, well, that keeps being talked about, but at some point the dominoes do have to fall, and the more you stack the dominoes, the bigger the fall. So like, we're just looking for like potential haymakers from Xbox, like consistently, if they keep
Yeah.
holding on to them.
Yeah. So, speaking of Xbox, the Forza leads have left Playground Games to form a new studio. This new studio will be called Maverick Games. It's going to be in the UK. There's several of them, so I didn't put their names because, you and me, Landon, we both listened to Kind of Funny. They mentioned, I want to say it was Mike Brown. Mike Brown is just one individual. Like I was reading through the list, and it's like, oh, this person did this at Playground Games, and now is doing this at Maverick. There's quite a few people that have started this studio. But yeah, they secured funding for the studio operations and for the game. And the first game will be a premium open world title. And they said, our goal is for Maverick Games to be a studio people will love. For players, we're already hard at work on an exciting ultra high quality title. And for developers, we're building a home where everyone is encouraged to take risks, be curious, be creative, be innovative, be themselves, and above all, be a maverick, which is a fucking awesome line.
Well, hell yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it was like they left, in some of these stories where people just leave because the things didn't happen well in the studio, where either the people leading the studio are assholes or the developer themselves are assholes. This doesn't seem to be a situation like that from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they want to start their own thing, do their own thing, and that's a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that's dope. That's really dope.
Now I wonder, they were leads obviously on Forza Horizon. I wonder, how much of Fable they worked on, because they talk about it as a premium open world title. I don't believe they said one way or another whether it was going to be driving or not, but let's just say they worked on Fable and they decided to go something similar to that.
Okay.
Well, would you prefer them going that route, or would you prefer them trying to do like a driving open world game similar to Forza Horizon?
No more driving open world. No. Just go. Yeah, I don't need. There's really no need or want from driving open world unless it's Need for Speed Underground 3. Like that's the only thing I'm looking for in a racing game, and that's just not gonna happen. So
Yeah,
I'd much rather see them go the other way.
yeah, yeah. I feel like Need for Speed Underground 3 was replaced by Forza Horizons.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no. I'm definitely intrigued. I don't know if they, like I said, I don't know how much they worked on Fable or if they had any say in Fable. Because you imagine Fable was probably, at least in the beginning stages, when Forza was in the final stages of their development. So they might not have even really had any involvement in that project, so I wouldn't know. But cool name. I love that line. Be a maverick. Like that's incredible. Everyone wants to be Maverick, but sometimes, like me, you have to be a goose.
Gotta be a goose. Sometimes you gotta be the goose.
Oh man, that was. I really, that upset me in that movie. By the way, the death of Goose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when
So
I was a
sad.
kid watching it, I was like, "What happened?" And he's just like, "Oh, he died." What? They were friends.
Oh, he's dead.
Uh, well, if you liked or even if you didn't like this podcast, make sure to do all of the things. Like hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and hitting the bell at the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use so you can find like-minded people. Be sure to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards as well. That's all from us. Take care.